Music producers, are you getting stuck at the very beginning stages? Do you feel like you should be further off than what you are? Let's talk about it. Music producers, I got posed a question 2 months ago. Ooh, I'm sorry, Boker, one-on-one, but it's a great question. My beats aren't as good as they should be, I feel. They're just missing some kind of element, whether it be the drums or the progression. Did you have to struggle to get better, or did it just come naturally to you? Been producing for a year and some change. Boker, one-on-one. The reason why I man giggled is because coming natural to anybody. Look, there are certain people who are freaks of nature. 95% of us struggle and struggle some more. I'm man giggling because I struggle like a mother. Because you got to understand, how many producers could I go to that could teach me how to make beats on a PlayStation? Especially in 2003, 2004. There weren't that many producers who were making beats on a PlayStation. That's one. Two, at the time that I came in, hardware was still very dominant over software like FL Studio and Reason. FL Studio was still Fruity Loops. Everybody was still looking down upon it at that point in time. And so if you didn't have an MPC, you weren't a real producer. That was sort of my time frame. But in the very beginning stages, it was frustrating. The beats were not smacking the way I wanted them to. I was turning stuff up, didn't know why I was turning it up. Somebody told me, you got a limiter on that? And I said, what you mean? Like my beats have no limitations. What are you talking about, fam? And didn't know what that meant. Somebody said, oh, man, you should really get into that parametric EQ and start to bring some of them highs up. And I said, what? I look like that Tom and Jerry. Just said, what? Shout out to academics. But I didn't know what I was doing. I was like, yo, what is this? What is all of this terminology? I just want to make beats. And so I sucked in the beginning. Most producers do. You do. You're just going to be terrible because, you are learning a different skill that, I would say the only thing that prepared me for making beats was playing Parappa the Rapper on PlayStation 1. Other than that, I didn't have preparation. Like my mom was really into music, but she didn't teach me how to make beats. When she would play piano in church, I would listen to the drummer and I would just watch him. And at the time, I wasn't really a producer. I wasn't trying to make beats. I was just looking at them like, yo, the drums are so dope. And I would see the way, after a certain amount of loops, he would do like a drum roll, and I would pay attention to that. And so from that information that I had, from the lack of rhythm that I learned from Parappa the Rapper, I took that limited information and said, I want to have a production career. And then on top of that, insert a PlayStation. My beats were terrible. My beats had no bass. Mind you, I was recording the sound off of a Zenith TV, which at that time, the volume only went up to I think 30 or something. And that wasn't very loud. It was just no bass and it was whatever. I say this to say, if you are struggling in the very beginning stages, embrace that. Understand that you're not so unique that you just have to come out the gate swinging. Even the people that you see that have really natural raw talent, they go through things that you would never expect. Like you get somebody who maybe is a piano genius, they know so many things about scales and so many things about progressions that they get down to a beat and they don't know what to do first. When you know that these particular major chords exist and then within the scale, you can play this. They're not really accustomed to breaking those rules because they know the rules. When you're going in there, you don't have much knowledge. You're actually at more of an advantage, a creative advantage, I should say, because you're going in there not worried about messing anything up. You're just going in there to trying to put these sounds that are maybe in your heart and your head. You're trying to put them out into reality and into your particular program, and you get to just mess up and have fun along the way. There's nothing wrong with that. What I would say is this, and it's something that in the past I always said, you want to fail, you want to fail, you want to fail. And then I saw something recently from Ty Lopez on an interview that he had with, I think it's called Impact something. I see it on Facebook all the time. But he had Impact Theory is what it's called. He had an interview where he was saying that our brains are designed to basically, once we failed at something too many different times, our brains are specifically designed to push us away from that. You know, we need sort of the success in something to gain momentum. And with momentum, we start spiking dopamine and we start to have something that works to our advantage. So here's what I would say. Yes, you're still going to fail no matter what you do. You're going to fail. That's part of the process. However, the things that you're finding that is coming easier to you but harder for other producers that you see, work with that. Strengthen that. Beef that up. If that's your drums, I see somebody that left a comment the other day that says, producers who always talk about their drums or their strong put can't play an instrument. So what? Let that person go to work on something. Let them start where they're at. There's nothing wrong with it. You know, for the longest, I knew how to work my drums. I didn't know a progression from the next progression. I didn't know any of that. But what I did was, because I had a great, starting point with my drums, it gave me so much freedom to sit there and play chords underneath it. It gave me even more inspiration to not mess up these drums with some terrible chords. It made me want to step my game up. You know, and then also too, with collaboration, that's going to be something that's going to help you too. The more you work with people who have strengths in other departments that you don't have strengths in, by simply mirroring them, by simply understanding why they do certain things that they do, you can increase your learning curve and speed it up like that for yourself to the point where you may start playing chords and you look at your hands like, are these really even my hands? It's because you've been around somebody that has caused you to step your game up. It's the same thing with a young Michael Jordan. I was playing with, I think when he was in middle school, he was playing with high school kids and even like some college kids. Because he was in that environment, he always felt like he was the underdog and he had to work that much harder than his competition, that much harder than the people who are around him. If you're surrounding yourself by that same kind of situation, of course, you're going to elevate your game. But if you're just around yourself, if you're just in there and you're kind of comparing yourself to maybe somebody's behind the beat videos and you feel like, oh man, I should be a lot more further than what I am because this person put a year into it, you're setting yourself up for disaster. You're setting yourself up for the type of failure that your brain does not know how to react to except for to move away from it, right? It's going to work counterproductive to you. There's good failure, there's bad failure. In this particular situation, I think it's good for you to go blindly into it and try to figure out as much as you can on your own. And I think it's great to also fail in the ways of learning underneath somebody else and having them tell you, hey, that's dope, but I think that if you did this, it can get your idea even more clear if you did it this way. Try it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. So don't for a minute feel like you're so unique and your problems are only your problems. Your problems are, the entire universe of music producers. Everybody deals with their own situations. So don't feel so alone in that. My friend, Voker 101, who I see you leave a lot of commentary, I would say, you're producing for a year, give yourself some time. How long will it take? I would say that it took me about 2 years before I started making beats that I was like, you know what? I think this is dope enough to start submitting off to Absol, or this is dope enough to start bringing people in to rap over. And what happened was I noticed another curve, another jump happened once I started working with rappers that knew what they wanted in production. They kind of helped me become a better producer by them taking on some of the responsibilities of a producer. I was still developing just as a beat maker. Working with people, getting in circles that cause you to step your game up, you're going to step your game up. I promise you that. When I was in those early sessions with Absol, another buddy of mine named Ben Grimm, because they were lyricists and my beats were at a certain level, I told myself, my beats have to get even better than this. They have to get better. There's no other way. It has to get better. And they did. Once I had my back against the wall, was I nervous? Hell yeah. Did I make terrible beats before that? Hell yeah. Did I make terrible beats after that? Have I made terrible beats in the last 6 months? Yes. It still continues. The growth still continues. Although as time goes on, you start to figure out the things that are your strengths and you start to figure out, okay, how can I strengthen the weaknesses that hinder my strengths and not focus on the things that are just my weaknesses? If you're not an R&B producer, don't try to make R&B beats on a regular basis. Focus on what your strengths are. Strengthen those up, and as you start to learn different things about your strengths, you can bring that over to an R&B atmosphere. But trying to go and become a whole nother producer, trying to become a Metro Boomin when you're a Pharrell, I'm not saying it's not possible, but I'm saying that you are wasting a lot of time, that could be spent upon strengthening your strengths instead of trying to strengthen your weaknesses. Once again, it's another Curtspiration. Doodle, you need some more of this juice? Please subscribe to the channel below. Be a part of the notification gang. You like the shirt? No free beats. Go to nofreebeatsclothing.com and get yours. And to come back and reiterate upon the topic, you know, in the beginning, we all suck. We're all terrible. Do I got to pause that? Okay, never mind. We're all terrible. Our beats go through their own transitions. Have no fear, my friends. You will get better. Voker, you will get better with time. Be patient with yourself. Be not afraid to take chances, because that's the only way you're going to find your style. Be not afraid to even copy other folks just to figure out the things that you like and that you don't like. Like I always say, if not before, that was wrong always say, but the other thing I always say is that if you take from one source, that's plagiarism. If you take from multiple sources, it's research. So take from multiple sources, learn you something new, find your style in the midst of that. In this life, you will not be full of life until you decide to live life to its fullest. Curtis King, CurtisKingBeats.com. Better get that summer song.
I can't listen to you. When I listen to you, it's a liability, cause you be mentally killing my inner energy. So I'm concealing my feelings before you injure me.